This is lesson 1-5A. We're going to solve a quadratic equation by taking square roots. Here's our example. Solve 1/2 times x minus 3 squared plus 5 equals 17. Here's our three main steps. Isolate the squared term. Take the square root of each side, remembering to go plus or minus. And then simplify and solve for x. All right, so here we go. What we want to do is isolate the squared term. So we've got two things in the way, the plus 5 and the 1/2. It's very important you do this in the proper order. We first want to deal with the plus 5, then deal with the 1/2. So I'll subtract 5 from each side. Minus 5, and get 1/2 times x minus 3 squared equals 12. Then what I want to do is multiply each side by 2. So I'll multiply the left side by 2, and I'll multiply the right side by 2. This will cancel, and I'll get x minus 3 squared equals 24. I now have the squared term isolate, and what undoes squaring is plus or minus square rooting. Okay, so I'll say, take the square root of that side, and plus or minus the square root of that side. So when I've got the square root of x minus 3 squared, I'm just going to get x minus 3. So x minus 3 will be plus or minus the square root of 24. I don't care about x minus 3, I want x, so I'll add 3 to each side. Plus 3, and I'll get x equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 24. Typically we put the 3 in front. We don't go plus or minus the square root of 24 plus 3. We put the rational part first, followed by the irrational part. Now there's a couple things I want to do. I always want to report my radicals in simplified form, and I always like to write my answers x sub 1 and x sub 2. So those are my two steps remaining. So I'll erase up here. I'll rewrite this. All right, so the first thing I'll do is I'll simplify the square root of 24. I want to see if there's any perfect square factors in there, or you could do a factor tree and look for pairs. I'll do the factor tree. So 24 is 2 times 12, 2 is prime. 12 is 2 times 6, 2 is prime. 6 is 2 times 3, 2 and 3 are prime. So I could rewrite the square root of 24 as the square root of 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And for square roots, I'm looking for pairs of numbers, and then I could bring one of those out. So I circle the two 2's. I bring 1 2 to the outside. So the square root of 24 can be written as 2 times the square root of 6. So I've got x equals 3 plus or minus 2 radical 6. And then finally, I don't like to, on my test, usually I have students have 2 answer blanks, and I'll want you to use subscripts. So x sub 1 equals 3 minus 2 radical 6. I generally put the lower value first. And then x sub 2 will be 3 plus 2 radical 6. And there you have it. How to solve a quadratic equation by taking square roots.